Welcome back, you filthy exiles. And I'm a little shabby looking today, but I will be working away from Tuesday this week. So I may be a little bit slower on streaming and uploading and whatever. But anyway, let's get into the video. Okay, so everybody's asked me, when am I doing my Boneshatter video? Well, this is it. Okay, so today we're going to have a look at two variants of Trauma Stacking Boneshatter. I'm not sure of what other content creators have put out there, but this is my variation of how to do it. Now, this isn't like crazy level of build. One of these builds is going to be like a 100 div version. That's one that we're going to look at with the Magnate, probably tops 100 div. The other one includes a Mageblood, which I was lucky enough to get my hands on from Gumby. So thanks a lot for the Mageblood Gums to help me get this build going. And we've got the flasking combination here that you need to be able to do it as well. So, moral of the story, I was smashing like 500 to 600 depth Crystal Kings with this, with the Mageblood on. I was still smashing Crystal Kings at about 450 to 500 with the Magnate. Obviously, I didn't have an Ashes at the point of when I recorded my last video, or when I was cracking Kings at that point. One thing that I will note, Helm can be better on this build, way better. Chest can be better, rings definitely have room for improvement. And the other thing to bear in mind, and you can get a much better axe than this axe. My axe is pretty good, but it's definitely not the best. Best way to do that, Shuddering Fossils, Jagged Fossils, 2-socket Resonators, bam, hit the axe. Make sure you get it to 30% if you can. That's the easiest way to get a good siege axe or any sort of axe or anything like that. You're just going to be slam until you get a good roll. Make sure the item level is 86 plus. And then basically go from there. If you can get one with fractured fizz damage, percentage, and or flat fizz, or attack speed over 25%, then you'll be able to hit this pretty easily. That's basically all you need to get the axe the way that you need it. Now, the variation we'll talk through first will be the Magnate, and then we'll jump into the Mageblood version, and that's basically going to be it for the video, talking this through. So let's get into it. Okay, so Magnate Tree. So approximate stat check, much, same as last time. 5 seconds spent stationary. Because we're playing Boneshatter, we're not moving. We've got Frenzy charges, we've got Endurance charges. Life tap's there, but does nothing. We get Onslaught from the gloves. We get Fortified from our node that's selected with Fortify, which is, bam, this one over here on a Tattoo of the Path. We get Fortify when we hit. We get Adrenaline from the gloves, we get 50 Rage, we do have a Flask active. Consecrated Ground is coming from our flask in our setup, which is here, Sulfur Flask. So, yep, we get that. Okay, so 10 enemies nearby. This synergizes with Lunaris. Solar Lunaris is the Pantheon. Have you been hit recently? Duh, we're always getting hit. Now, I assume 120 stacks. If I take this off, it's going to say 54 million DPS. That's at max stacks. That's if you can sustain max stacks. Say, like, you get to 120 stacks of trauma, you get to 9.3. Anyone that you look at a friggin' Boneshatter build with that says, like, no trauma stacks selected, and it's like, oh, I get 50 million DPS? Bullshit. Absolute bullshit. 120 stacks is what we can sustain without absolutely destroying ourselves completely with this particular iteration of the build. Be it we have 537,000 effective hit pool just with a Magnate. And then we have Blood Stance, we go to Sand Stance, DPS obviously drops. We have Sap Ground, this is built in the boots, which we have Sap Ground while moving, lasting 3 seconds. And finally, Guardian and Pinnacle DPS. Crush comes from our Awakened Brutality at level 5 at 20%. Guardian Pinnacle boss damage, bam. That's our bullshit check for this tree. Let's get into the gearing. Okay, gearing on the Magnate iteration. Same helm as last video, literally implicit with Boneshatter. Enchant with a Boneshatter, +1 to trauma, 24% chance. If you can get 16% chance, that's fine. We want to convert as much physical damage to fire as possible, and or elemental damage to fire, and also recoup on physical damage where we can, and that's what we do here. So we have like 3 stats that do that. The reason being is because we overcap reses, which we have in the defenses here, 84%. This synergizes with our Forbidden Flesh and Forbidden Flame Jewels, which uses Valaco's Storm's Embrace. And the reason why this is significant is it gives us the node which is of the chieftain, which basically means that our overcapping is equalized across the board. It's one of the advantages of the chieftain. It's basically a free melding at a significantly lower cost because you don't need a mage blood to achieve it. Basically, from this point, we are going to then stack awesome shields like this, helms, and if you can get it on your body armor, you can get a bench enchant, which does conversion as well. I would recommend getting that. But anyway, so helm, not the best helm, but that's what we're running with. Chest, literally attacks resistances. I've got implicits to recover damage as life. Physical or damage taken as 12% damage taken as life. Determination at 19% aura effect because we want to stack as much armor as we can. I think we get to like 154,000 armor on this. And then any physical damage we can, reduction we can get. On this, I have an Ashes with Charisma rolled onto it. This isn't the best Ashes that you can get, but it's not a bad Ashes, and it definitely helps. Dawnbreaker, and sorry, the reason why we need Ashes is for the 24% quality to all skill gems. This synergizes with Divergent Boneshatter. So we have 24% from our Enhanced Jewel, we have 24% from our Ashes, and we have 20% on the Jewel. So we have 68%, which is 68% additional speed, which is why this attacks so fast when it's attacking. And then basically we have 2 rings, basically all resistances. We need non-channeling skills have mana reduction. If you don't have that, you're going to choke on mana. I'm down at 2 mana per hit, so I can sustain all day long with a 22 mana pool, which is great. Outside of that, we have a ring with also damage recouped as life, some accuracy, and obviously chaos res and intelligence, because this character is a little dumb and we've got to prop it up with the rings. Now Seajax, as noted, just a big, hefty, physical DPS Seajax. You can craft one with Jagged, Shuddering, and 2-socket Resonators. Fossils, that is, and 2-socket Resonators. Otherwise, just go on the market, buy 4 div Seajax. They're dirt cheap at the moment anyway. This one's worth 4 div and does the job. Now the other one, Tanu Ahi Gauntlets. The reason why we need this is when we hit capping on our leech, we get Adrenaline, and or we get Onslaught, which are great stats and increases the DPS further because the attack speed goes up. Now, this variation has the Magnate. On mine, I've also got a Corrupted Magnate that gives me increased Determination effect, which gives me more armor, which makes me more survivable when I am getting smacked with trauma reflecting stacks. And then obviously on my boots, I've got my enchant from lab, 2% regeneration if you were hit recently. 8% life regeneration rate, but if you can get +2 to your maximum fire res, and if you can get that on your chest, that's the preference because you want to get your overcapping to max. And then I've got drop saps ground while moving, which is just a really good defensive stat that works on this particular build. And then we've got movement speed, all resistances, chaos res, and life, and that's all she wrote. Now, flasking, this is different to the Magnate version, and I'll switch this out and I'll show you how the Magnate version works next. But basically, pretty much a granite flask, you want a ruby flask, sulfur flask, and basalt flask, and progenesis. Realistically, like, this build could work without progenesis, but progenesis is going to keep you alive, like you'll see why in a minute. That's basically it for gearing. Really simple to gear. Let's talk about the gems. Okay, gem setups in the helm. Vulnerability, Anomalous, and Mortal Call. You can use Divergent. People would probably use Divergent. I like Anomalous because it's faster cooldown, so it triggers a lot more. Custom damage taken. Life tap support. You can get Divergent custom damage taken. It's going to mean it triggers for longer as well, I think. And then in your Seajax, I've got Divergent Arctic Armor, which is expensive, but it gives you more overall mitigation to fire and fizz damage per, getting the 20%. Then we've got Herald of Purity. Because we're using the Ashes, we had to drop the Pride out. We just didn't have enough mana to reserve, so we're using Herald of Purity to compensate for that. War Banner. Now, in the PoB, I've ticked War Banner off, but it does work. I don't know what's going on with PoB. Something really wacky. It says it's a -4% mana reserve, but it does work, so that's why I've got it here. But I've ticked it off in the PoB for any elitists who want to go, oh, your PoB has an error in it. Well, it sure as hell doesn't now. And then basically, we get over to the Dawnbreaker. I've got Leap Slam, Phantasmal Vengeance. This allows us to generate Rage because we get Rage from Vengeance procs, because this is an alt gem. Alt quality gem. Ancestral War Chief, in particular Val Ancestral War Chief. And then we go to chest piece. I've got a level 4 enhance. I've got, which, you know, you don't need a level 4, you can get level 3, it's perfectly fine. Anomalous Impale, Ruthless, level 21. Awaken Brutality at 520, level 5, 20%. Increased duration, support, and Divergent Bone Shatter. Really important that you have Divergent Bone Shatter and not normal Bone Shatter. You can get normal Bone Shatter working, it's just not preferable when you're playing this version of the build. Normal Bone Shatter will work if you're playing like the Axe version of the build with the 2-hand, you need to get like 10 to 20 stacks. This one, we need shitloads of stacks of trauma. Then in the gloves, we've got Phantasmal Ancestral Protector. Reason why Phantasmal, it just attacks faster, so we have a lot more, where it was at 56% increased effective Ancestor Totem buff, which is what we need, and 20% more attack speed while Totem is active, which is really important. Then we have Blood Rage, which we've got mapped to the move button, so we've always got Frenzy charges generating while we're killing. Then we've got Enhance, which is just level 3 and multiple totem support, so we have more totems. And then in the boots, we've got Determination, Enlightened Support, level 3, Flesh and Stone, and Purity of Fire. Alright, PoB wise, no major changes to the PoB at all for this one, realistically. I did make some adjustments in the tree, but pretty much the same as before. Come down, grab Born to Fight, grab Warrior's Blood. We want these overcapping nodes, Prismatic Skin, and then Corrupted Blood cannot be inflicted, just because it's easier. Watcher's Eye, we've got 9% physical damage taken as fire while affected by Purity of Fire, because we have Purity of Fire in this build, and 25% increased Impale because we want to get to as much Impale. Actually, that's not true. We lose Impale because we're using Herald of Purity, so you can use any other stat you want in this build moving forwards. Then we come all the way across to get Bravery, Art of the Gladiator, down here to get Precise Techniques, because that gives us more attack damage. Though we can't crit, we don't need to crit with this. We'll come back and we'll pick up this Dexterity node, and then we run Honored Tattoo, Strength node, and we run Honored Tattoo of the Pa. This allows to have Fortify on hit. Now, I do have tattoos in this tree, which you'll see, so I've maxed out my cold resistance with tattoos. I've also increased my life pool by using 2% tattoos, which is Tattoo of the Oak as well. So you'll see I've got about 10 of these bastards in here, and this just gives me more survivability and defense. I do have Soul of Steel in here, gives me more armor, more overall max res, which makes me more tanky. We come down, grab Tribal Fury, we get Champion of the Cause, we get this little reservation node here because we needs it. Bastion Breaker, the Physical Mastery, that's in here, 40% increased, 40% chance to ignore enemy monster physical damage reduction. Hatchet Master, more Onslaught, Golem's Blood, and then we come back down. Cluster Jewels will come to at the very end. We get an Inexonerable, because this is giving us endurance charges when we get hit, and more armor when we're stationary, and we are always stationary because we're playing Bone Shatter, we don't move. We get tankier for getting slapped. Then we come up and get Juggernaut, 20% increased armor while we're stationary, up to 100%, which synergizes with Inexonerable. Cleaving, Slaughter, another Jewel. We grab Barbarism because we get another +1 to max fire res, and then we come up, we get Divine Shield. Sanctum of Thought, we want to convert 10% of armor, also applies to chaos damage from hits, so we fully mitigate chaos damage where we can. Come across, get Nature's Patience. This is going to give us Grasping Vines, and so this doesn't affect us because we have Unstoppable as part of the Jugg Ascendency. And we also want Pure Might as well. This tree we want Master of Fundamentals, Battle Hardened, and Furious Assault. And down here I've got Furious Assault and Ironbreaker. And also a Forbidden Flesh and Forbidden Flame setup with Valko Storm's Embrace, which basically allows me to have free melting of the flesh. So, except for lightning, because I don't have 84% lightning res, which I could probably achieve by doing the same thing that I've done over here with reses. Beauty of the tattoo system now, really helps you fix your build. But yeah, that's basically all there is to the tree. Now, Ascendancy wise, we're going to get Untiring first, Unbreakable second, Undeniable third, and Unstoppable fourth. That's basically it. That's it for this tree. So let me take you down to like 500 and something depth, nearly 600 delve, and I'll show you what this does. Alright, so let's go down to 589 depth delve. That's about as far as I've pushed just because I haven't been online for most of this week. And let's just roll our biome in here. And I'll show you what this looks like. So this is plenty tanky. So we do have a bit of chonk on this node too, so it's not exactly the easiest node, but as you can see, Ashes just makes this insane. So we'll just do this Primeval Chamber, and then yeah. So this isn't even the fastest it can go. It can go way faster than this. As you can see, stacks go up pretty hardcore. And this is where the Progenesis comes in, because the Progenesis will basically keep me alive. And we're at about 104 stacks. Now, I don't know what this guy's got. Yeah, okay, he's just got a lot of health. Now, there's every probability I could die here, but I'm not going to die. There we go. And as you can see, the drops get pretty good the lower down in Delve you go. Let's do this, and then we'll talk about the Mageblood version. Alright, so this is the Magnate variant of the build. Now Pantheon, I think I've already went into it, Linares and Tokuhama. So let's talk about the Mageblood variant of the build, because that's a hell of a lot more tanky and does even more damage. Okay, so you spent all league, you've been farming, and you're like, hey, I got a Mageblood. So how do we use it? Alright, so things to know about Mageblood is clear your stash, because we've got to get prepped. Okay. So this in particular is a really good Mageblood. Now, Magebloods can roll either 2 magic utility flasks from the leftmost or anywhere up to 4. This is a 4, so this is a really good one. Mirror tier build at this stage, which I don't usually do because I don't usually farm Magebloods. In this case, Gumby, thanks for the spot on the Mageblood. So he's finished league, so he's like, here, have my Mageblood. I was like, awesome, let's do the build and then help everyone else get this working. So, all right. This is good Mageblood. If you don't have a 4, you can just get a 3. You can get corrupted ones. 2 to 3 is perfectly fine, because you're still going to be able to set these flasks to trigger. You'll lose a little bit of defense, but it's all G. So, basically, what we're going to do, we're going to switch out our main belt, our Magnate, and then we're going to chuck in our new flasks. Now, the big thing to know... Alright, so this is basically going to move all of our stats through the roof. And as you can see, our flasks are always up. And the reason for that is that's just how Mageblood works. That's why I always call it a build fixer. You've got always on flasks, so you get huge amounts of defense and armor. Now, the things about the flasks, because you don't need to pop the flasks and they're always on, you want to go for increased effect. And this is done through enkindling orbs. Boop, 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 boop. These here, alright? So this will amp your flasks up through the roof. Now, arguably, you could do this while you're sort of, you know, using normal flasks and triggering them, but it's just not as efficient as using auto trigger flasks, because you got to keep hitting the button. So I generally prefer to do it this way. So yeah, we're running a basalt, we're running a granite flask, we're running a ruby flask because it's fire conversion and decreased amount of fire damage, and then topaz flask. And that's basically it for the conversion of Mageblood. The tree, everything, all the same as everything else in this video, except Mageblood. So this automatically just smashes our armor up to like 171, and I've actually got the tree here for the Mageblood, which I've done, and this will all be in the PoB. So we go from about 500,000 effective hit pool to 873,000 effective hit pool. Now, ignore the DPS. There's something weird going on with this tree at the moment, but yeah, more or less, I've assumed that we're only going to have 120 stacks. If I take that off, we go up to 42 million DPS. It's the same thing I was saying at the start of the video. It's misleading as all hell. But anyway, it is what it is. It's, you know, whatever. But yeah, basically from there, we get a huge spike in offense and defense. nearly 200,000 armor. All res is overcapped. Basically, yeah, anything you want. And also on top of that, because the flasks that we're running, we have increased effects of the flasks. So we get 20% less lightning damage overall, and then 20% less fire damage. And we convert a lot of our damage to fire damage. This is a huge, huge buff, and basically means you can face tank pretty much anything in Delve. Now, the Magnate, that'll take you to about 1,000 in depth, right? Easily 1,000, give or take. This will take you to somewhere in between 1,500 to 2,000. And then more investment will take you to about the 3,000 mark. We're talking about multiple mirrors. But yeah, anyway, let's give this a whack, and I'll show you what this looks like down in Delve. So we'll just do it in the same biome. Do we want to go a little lower? We might go down here, 591. And I know this isn't like deep Delve, as someone would, many people would call it. Like 591's chump level. Well, it's as low as I've gotten just because I haven't got enough time. But yeah, basically, you just won't take damage anymore. And you can walk through here without worrying about a single thing. And that's all there is to mage blooding. Now, the reason why I featured the Magnate version is because I suspect most people will play Magnate unless you've got the time to be able to, get your hands on a mage blood and then, balance the rest of the build around it. Sort of more of a hardcore thing to get. If you're a newer player, go for the Magnate build. Mage blood's just too difficult to get earlier on. So yeah, it's just super tanky now. If I had a Crystal King pop up, we'd probably crack the Crystal King and just face tank it, because this thing's pretty good at doing that. And that's really the difference between the Magnate. It just means that, like, instead of being able to not smash Crystal Kings, you'll be able to take down Crystal Kings. That's pretty much it. Now, other uses for Mage Blood is obviously all the rest of the builds that you'll play. You can amp everything up. I might even chuck this on my Vortex Igniter build to show what it looks like when that's got a Mage Blood on it, because that's going to get hectically tanky. As you can see, like, we just start doing absolutely immense numbers in the damage front. So yeah, you just start doing exponential levels of attack speed at that point. Now, you could use other rolls on Flask to push your damage up even more, but yeah, that's basically it for Mage Blooding. Okay, so I hope this video has been informative. Sorry it's taken so long to put it together. It's not the most structured video that probably exists out there, but it's a really clear, easy understanding and explanation of how to get your Boneshatter build to work either Magnate or Mage Blood. Obviously, just bear in mind, Magnate's not going to take you as low. You get to about 1,000. Mage Blood's going to get you to 1,500 to 2,000 pretty easily as you scale up. I think the difficulty level on Delve drops off at about, 1,500, and then just the more you push down, it just gets a little crazier and mods get harder. But anyway, I hope this video helps in helping you get your Trauma Stacking Boneshatter build sort of rolling forwards. And yeah, I'll put some more information in the description, just explaining cost of each build, the 2 PoBs. And yeah, anyway, don't forget to like and sub. Don't forget to follow the Twitch. Don't forget to follow the Twitter. Don't forget to go on the Discord and join in the festivities of some of the crazy stuff that goes on in there. And we might even make a Boneshatter channel for next league, because I know we've got a Manabon channel in there with a heap of peeps helping each other with Manabon. But anyway, until next time, stay filthy, and I'll see you guys later.